It's another go-round of SDHAM. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. And it is going to be a debut coming up in about 10 minutes. Mark Fishkin from the Seeing Red Pod is going to drop by for his debut visit here on the morning show. We'll go over everything Red Bulls. We'll go over their season to date, early returns, the 2-0 win to Nashville, and kind of give you an education and just a bit of a breakdown on Red Bulls, what to expect when they come to town this weekend. How's it going to look? How different is it from presses in the past? The Sandro Schwartz version versus others that we've seen, and just kind of give a bit of an education when it comes to Red Bulls coming to town here on the weekend. If Kaylor Hodges can escape and hide in a room at 10:30, then we will get our USL Championship and League One preview. They are kicking off this weekend. And there's a lot of news, a lot of things that have changed when it comes to personnel and things like that. So we'll get into the greatest hits of USL Championship, USL League One as we go into their 2025 season. They announced yesterday their national grids, national games, that kind of a thing. But if we can get Kaylor and the at the USL show to go hide someplace for a half an hour, we'll wrap up the show with him. In between, we'll go over all the news of the morning. There's some stuff involving Manchester United. Yes, the scream that you just heard is that of Drew Dickinson, Morning Alex, and having to do with office complexes and things like that, and coaches lashing out at former players, that kind of a thing. Plus, we'll go over the rest of what happened in Matchweek 2 and get you all caught up. So that's where we're heading. Morning, David. So Mark Fishkin coming up in about 10 minutes, a little less than 10. Kaylor Hodges, if he can hide, coming up at 10:30. All of your thoughts as we go here on a Tuesday. So, and just as a bit of a heads up, following Mark and following Seeing Red, you got to go to Blue Sky to do that. They're on the Insta, the Facebook. You can shoot them emails. They do have stuff on the World Wide Web, but they are on Blue Sky. Mark is on Blue Sky. Seeing Red is on Blue Sky. So they are Blue Sky folks. And so once again, thanks to Mark for dropping by. Like I said, first time we've had him on the show. This is season 7, and we haven't had Mark. So this will be the chance to catch up with Mark and find out what's going on in the world of Red Bulls. Okay. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Imagine a QR code. And what you can do with that QR code is you go straight to their website at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We encourage you buy out the store, but what you can do is you can buy out the store at a 15% discount. How do you do that, you ask? Well, what you do is you use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase when you're checking out. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiative, stuff that they have earmarked as cool. And once again, thanks to our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You remember yesterday, I went on a bit of a rant after Abe came on about how fans should fan properly. And it had to do with our own Sophia Cupertino. A bit of an update for you. For those of you that don't follow Sophia on the interwebs and the socials, Charlotte did reach back to her. And they did review the tape, and it was more celebratory and gravity than it was at Sophia directly. So what the fans do apparently in that section when they win is they throw drinks and things, and they throw them up into the air, and it landed on Sophia as they looked at the tape. It was not something that was malicious in its intent. So once again, I checked with Sophia yesterday about her gear. Gear is fine. Took her a little while to make sure that everything was dried off, but gear is fine. Sophia's fine, at least until last night. And we'll get into that as a bit of a coda here. But once again, big props to Charlotte FC for looking into this. And they looked at the tape. They looked at the security video. and it was something that the fans do is they throw their drinks up into the air when they win, and then gravity takes over, and it ended up on Sophia in her gear. So once again, like I said, thanks to Charlotte for looking at the video and everything. But I would just ask the fan responsibly. I mean, make sure that you figure out where gravity is going to take things. So just make sure that if you're going to celebrate, make sure that it is something of a confined celebration, and leave the place as clean, if not cleaner, than when you got there. Like I said, that's how I guess that's how I was raised. Is pick up after yourself and just celebrate wisely, I guess. But once again, big thanks to Charlotte for getting to the bottom of it. And so once again, it's more celebratory with gravity than it was directly at Sophia. So that was the investigation by our friends from Charlotte. And so when you see Sophia the next time, she might be looking kind of Phantom of the Opera-ish. And I don't know if like I said, if you follow Maddie or Sophia on social media, but they play pickup soccer on what's Monday nights. It's like all my days are running together. Monday nights they play in a local soccer league. So apparently Sophia was playing last night, and I think it was once again, contact during I don't think it was a ball. I think it was contact during a joust for a ball, and she got popped in the nose. And so Maddie had to take. Sophia gave the thumbs up in social media. So yeah, if you follow Maddie on social media, I think it was on Instagram. But yeah, Sophia took an elbow last night, and so Maddie had to take Sophia to the ER to get looked at. So she might be looking a little Phantom of the Opera-ish for unless they went ahead and just reset it. But I'm sure that when you see her on Saturday night, maybe a mask, I don't know, but we'll see, or might be just glasses or some kind of a protective device. So yeah, Sophia had a long Monday night, but I will say this. I will say this. When it comes to playing pickup, there's no chance. I mean, media games, no way. Jarrett will play a media game. Nick will play a media game. I'm sure Drew will play a media game given the chance. I will yell and gesticulate wildly and coach and do all of those things. I'm not the kind of individual that's going to sit there and actively participate a whole lot anymore. I have my own pace, and the pace that the youngins are in is far faster than anything that I currently do. Like I said, my pace is more like golf, where I can dictate my own pace. I can't run up and down. I have zero endurance, zero, or less than zero, if that was possibly a number. So to do anything of any level of endurance, that's not going to happen. But so I firmly give a tip of the cap to Maddie and Sophia and everybody else, all of you that play pickup on the weekends. You're braver than I am, and you're a lot faster than I am, and you're probably in a lot better shape than I am. But no, I tip my hat to all of you who dive into these leagues and play your what's off on the weekends. So hand in my heart, other hand in the air. You guys are fantastic. You guys have a lot better endurance than I ever would. And so it's yeah. I will stand and applaud, or I will act like the angry coach in the sideline short of throwing a chair, and I'll sit there and I'll point wildly and go this, rah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. That's about the extent of my endurance these days. But yeah, full credit to all of you that do that kind of thing. You are far better than I am when it comes to this kind of stuff. All right. It is time for a debut. If I had a drum roll in the drops, I would do it. Now, I don't have any kind of like official trumpet fanfare or anything like that. I don't have like the dudes, like in the stereotypic middle-aged movie where you have like the 9 trumpeters that come into the hall, and they always play and for some reason they've all got the same trumpet, but they play different notes. I don't know how that works. But anyway, we would have like 9 dudes or 10 dudes on each, and then we would have a red carpet, obviously, because of our guest. But first time ever on the morning show, we bring in Mark Fishkin, our friend from Seeing Red, as a part of the informational exchange program here at Major League Soccer that we do every single time out. Mark, welcome to the morning show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I didn't see any trumpeters on my way downstairs this morning, but it's a nice visual for sure.
They're in the FedEx. That
Okay,
is,
good.
they're on their way there. They might be there by the time you exit.
Sounds
What
good.
what I wanted to do, and I wanted to bring you on to help our folks have an education coming up for the matchup this weekend when
Yeah,
Red Bulls come to town. And I mean, this is going to be everything from pillar to post in 15 to 20 minutes, and just so we have educated
sure.
watchers when it comes to everything at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So when you look at match weeks 1 and 2 so far here in 2025, what are some of your larger takeaways when it comes to what you've seen with Red Bulls this year?
Yeah, I thought the Red so for your listeners, the Red Bulls went to Cincinnati on day one and were not able to score. They lost 1-0 on a 70th minute restart goal by Kevin Denke, where he chipped Coronel, who was a half step slow coming off his line. And New York did some interesting things. It was the first time that Eric Choupo-Moting and Lewis Morgan and Eric Forsberg played together. Emil Forsberg played together at the top of the formation. Choupo-Moting's first shot on goal attempt was a back heel, which was, I think, not really what we expected, but that's okay. Came home last Saturday and scored twice in the first 20 minutes, first 30 minutes rather, against Nashville, and just ended the game. The rest of the match was, I guess, a little bit cagey. Nashville doesn't have a whole lot of attacking firepower to try and get on the board. They brought on 35-year-old Teal Bunbury in the 75th minute. And while Bunbury has made his career scoring goals against New York, it was just too little too late. New York lacked a little bit of sharpness in the final third over the last half hour of the game. But again, you're up to nothing. You're just trying to prevent a collapse. And for Red Bull fans, I think it felt good. Mohamed Sofo, who was only playing due to a knock on Morgan that kept him out of the lineup on Saturday. We don't really know the severity of that injury. We'll find out on Thursday when we meet with the team. But Sofo, in his first MLS start, scored his first MLS goal, cleaning up a shot off the post by Choupo. And Emil Forsberg had a ridiculous curler into the far post past Joe Willis, which for Red Bull fans always feels good to score past Joe Willis. And yeah, I mean, it was a frigid night at Red Bull Arena. I think by the end of the game, the temperature was in the 20s. And there's a lot of energy in the stadium and a lot of excitement around this team, and just to see what they can do. And now, I mean, you can make the argument that this is, I mean, Cincinnati certainly was a tough test, but Atlanta's a tough test as well, in a place where traditionally the Red Bulls have had a lot of success.
Yeah, I think if my math is correct, I think Atlanta has drawn points in only 8 of 18 matches lifetime, regardless of location.
Yep.
This particular matchup, how different? And I'm kind of drifting back into last season
Sure.
to lead into this year. How different are Red Bulls with Emil Forsberg and without him?
Yeah.
Because you were fourth in the East with him. He's out for 3.5 months because of injury. It drifts to 7. Then you catch him healthy again. You make your way to the last match of the year. How different, in quotation marks, are they with him and without him?
Yeah, no, it's literally everything for this team. This team was actually atop the East at one point early in the season last year with Forsberg, and you're absolutely right, John. I mean, without him, I think they won 1 or 2 matches over 3.5 months. They were a very difficult team to beat last year. They only lost 9 times during the regular season, and then in MLS Cup for coming up 1 goal short at LA, who was, without Ricky Puig, but they were undefeated at Your Name Here Center in Carson all of last year. And so, I mean, there were plenty of pundits during New York's playoff run last year that were seemingly bewildered. What happened? The team has come together, and it's like, yeah, the guy they're paying $6 million a year is healthy and producing. He literally lifts everyone on the team. He creates spaces for people. He generates um, passing lanes for people. He's a coach out on the field. He's doing everything that New York had hoped when he signed, and his leadership ability is really unmatched. He's done at the highest levels in the European Champions League, and so I just think he is clear. It is clearly his team. And makes such a difference when he's out there. And did score a lot of his goals were on pens last year, but again, if we see more attempts and goals like we saw on Saturday night, I think Red Bull fans are going to be really happy with what they've got this year.
I was going to say, I mean, the bottom line is if he's scoring from the spot, that means that chances are being created where defenses are panicking and have to make rash decisions. Ergo, you end up with those kinds of opportunities.
Yep.
Mission impossible time.
Okay.
And for those of us that are of a certain vintage,
Yes.
we used to watch this particular show in reruns.
Yes.
Our friend Jim Phelps, otherwise known as Peter Graves, would be getting a particular message on a reel-to-reel tape player. And at the end of the message, it would say that this tape is set to self-destruct in 15 seconds. So that is the guidepost with which we will operate, even though it will live on forever in the media.
Okay, I gotcha.
If you were Spectre and you had to defend Forsberg, how would you do it? What have you seen that has handcuffed him and his creativity? And like I said, we can sit there and put up a curtain and sit there and go, no one in the tri-state can listen to that. Whatever.
No, it's not complicated. I think you have to have two bodies on him at all times, and I think you have to prevent his forward vision as much as you can. New York has moved over the playoff run to a 3/5-man backline. And those two wingers, Omar Valencia, and it was Cam Harper who picked up a knock in the game. It'd be curious to see who we see. Those guys are key passing recipients of Forsberg. I would absolutely keep someone between him and Choupo-Moting. To make sure that connection is blocked off. But I would just try to impede his field vision as much as you can. I don't know if that means that both central defensive mids are on him constantly, bottling him up, making sure things don't go the right way. And I would just prevent him at all times from being able to carve up a defense. He doesn't need a lot of space. The ball just sits at his feet. He has incredible ball control. So, but he's also not the quickest guy. And so for Atlanta's, again, central midfield to really get in his face, to turn him away from the center of the field, I think you guys will be in pretty decent stead.
So it sounds like some combination of Cleek Sleesh, Jay Fortune, Tristan Muyumba, somewhere those 2 6s that Ronnie Dyla likes to employ, just make sure that they're keeping an eye on Forsberg. How underrated a keeper is Carlos Cornell?
I think he's properly rated. I mean, he is climbing up the all-time Red Bull goal effectiveness, goalkeeping charts. Obviously, he's never going to beat Luis Robles' streak of consecutive games or anything like that. But he really pulled his form together in the second half of last year. He went wanting during New York's Forsberg-less streak, where wins were very difficult to come by. But as New York advanced through the playoffs, his form returned. He had a magnificent open net save in the Eastern Conference Final on Facundo Torres that really turned that entire match. I think he is. I mean, you can make the argument that he's a top 10 goalkeeper in MLS. I think, depending on his form, I think he's definitely. He's a premier shot stopper. He does well on penalties. Yeah, I mean, I'd take him over just about anyone in the league right now, for sure.
Mark Fishkin from the Seeing Red Pod. You can follow them on the Blue Sky. You can follow them on the Bluebird, the Blue Sky, the IG, the Gram, or the Insta, whatever the kids are calling it these days. You can shoot him emails. They're on the face space, all the socials, and the YouTubes as well, so you can catch
Indeed.
all of their content. Another couple of minutes with you because I have burning questions, sir.
Please send them.
When it comes to this particular matchup, what concerns you the most as someone who has covered the Red Bulls as much as you have, and what are you the most confident about going into this matchup?
I mean, the attacking firepower that you guys have acquired and reacquired is spectacular, right? I mean, we haven't seen a guy like Lateloth in the league in a little bit. Haha, NJRB, hee hee, maps. Oh, maps are so funny. Hee hee. Let me explain to your listeners. There is an area called the New York metropolitan area that encompasses not just New York, New Jersey, also the state of Connecticut. It's true. That's why they call it the tri-state area.
So is this where I break up my Lloyd Lindsay Young impression?
Oh, wow. That is taking me back.
Secaucus.
Hello. That's good stuff.
Hello, East Rutherford.
Hello. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yonkers. Yeah. Okay. Go
Yeah.
for
it. Well, thank you for your comment. Anyway, yes, the Jets and Giants play in New Jersey too. Excellent. Well done. Born in New York City. So you know. If you know, you know. Yeah. Anyway, the attacking strength that you guys have, and we've yet to see it really round into form. Obviously, that's a challenge. I don't know how well Miggy is doing in his return. Obviously, informed Joseph Martinez and all that is not there. So as that partnership starts to come together, I think that's going to be exciting. New York knows how to beat Ronnie Dyla. They did it with some regularity during his time at City, for sure. I think, I think Brad Guzan is. I don't think he's one of the top 10 goalkeepers in MLS right now, and I don't think that your listeners would be terribly insulted by that. I think the question is really who is going to be playing on the wings for New York. They've started Omar Valencia, who is a Red Bull 2 promotion. He's done arguably okay. Obviously, he's a young kid. He's not going to be used to playing in front of the number of fans that I would imagine Atlanta will be bringing. It might be imposing for him. And then again, as I said, with Cam Harper, New York's kind of not so young player anymore, who's continuing to round into form. He got jacked up over the weekend. New York, interestingly enough, the injury to Harper happened right before halftime, and Coach Schwarz signaled to Dennis Yengar, who's a Norwegian youngster, to come and get ready, and then didn't sub him through first half injury time. And then after half, he put Dylan Nealis on in his stead, which I think raised a lot of questions for Red Bulls watchers. Again, you're up 2-0 at half. You're not necessarily looking to do a lot of offensive damage. New York played about 5 minutes of first half injury time with 10 men because Schwartz didn't want to make that change. So I thought that was really interesting. Dylan Nealis, of course, really capable, certainly more defensive minded. New York's press doesn't necessarily know how to come in and play for ties. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, again, the first goal is so important to New York, so important to everyone in this game, but like really important to New York in the first match. And I realize I've strayed from your question a little bit, John, but just
good. Hey, look, we got space and time. It's all
okay.
Good.
To provide your listeners with a little more insight. In the first game at Cincinnati, New York went down in the 70th minute. Choupo-Moting, Forsberg, and Morgan were on the field the entire match. And who New York brought on to try to make the difference was 16-year-old homegrown Julian Hall. Mm-hmm. And while New York has a lot of second-choice depth players that came in late to training camp and aren't necessarily fit yet, it just seemed like, oh, you're down a goal on the road. Attacking depth is definitely an area where New York is lacking. And so if Atlanta is able to get up one or even two, and as the game is getting late, it's going to be a real challenge for them to get back in to the match and make a difference. Again, Forsberg will be great. Choupo-Moting's looking for his first goal, hasn't played on turf yet. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. But as for your listeners, yeah, I mean, New York Atlanta is a fantastic game always. New York hasn't won in Atlanta since 2022. It used to be that the Red Bulls would waltz into Mercedes-Benz and leave with at least a draw. This is a little bit new. I think New York's 5-2-1 all time in Atlanta, and so I think it sounds close to
Sounds
right.
right. Yeah.
But they've lost the last two there. It used to be a place they were very comfortable, except for that one time.
Yeah, that one time. You mentioned, yes, exactly. I italicized boldface 13 Times New Roman font. The other question that I had for you has to do with the press. How different is it structurally or philosophically under Sandro Schwarz than it has been in the past, say, under, say, Struber or Armas or however far back
Yeah.
you want to go? How much of a tweak is there under Sandro's version than has been there in the past with others?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say under Armas and Bradley Carnell, who's had a great start at both St. Louis and now in Philly, I think blowing everyone's hair back with the job that they've done in Philly. Wow, 4 goals twice in a row. That's
What have you done with the Philadelphia Union, sir?
yeah, because those fans were not looking forward to this season at all, and it's like, no, everything's fine. Hey, no, we're good, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, over the last few years, and certainly last year, the Red Bulls have gotten a lot more comfortable possessing the ball against Nashville, who also doesn't want to possess the ball usually. It was about 50-50, if I recall correctly, for
Yeah.
possession stats for the game. And so New York has the players now that can hold the ball. And they do generate scoring chances out of buildup.
Mhm.
But I mean, there were a number of situations against Nashville where 5 attacking minded players were all pressing all the way back to the keeper, earned a few throw-ins, earned a few goal kicks off the side just from turning it up. It's definitely a little different. A bit of that is because of the formation, but he's playing you can say it's a 3-4-3, you can say it's a 3-4-1-2, you can say it's a 5, you can call it whatever you want, but certainly more wing play than we've seen, more reliant on the wings. The central defensive midfielder for New York right now is Edelman and Stroud, 2 homegrown players who are definitely more defensive minded. Felipe Carvalho, who scored a cracker of a goal for the Red Bulls in the playoffs, actually 2 goals, once against Columbus in Columbus last year in the playoffs, and then a bomb against NYC. He's still working his way back to full fitness after injury that kept him out of MLS Cup, which really hurt New York.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's going to be ready to start. He came on with 20 minutes to play last week and a 2-goal lead, but he can be an offensive spark as well. Without him, you're not going to see Edelman and Stroud push up and press as much, which may leave Atlanta a little more room getting out of their back end.
So now that we've had all these kinds of discussions about
Yep.
all of the defense and everything, I anticipate that whatever the total is, we're just going to go over, and it's going to be like one of these 9-8 thrillers or something like that.
I do not think so. No, I mean, we're going to do our show tonight for the week for Seeing Red, and we're talking to Jason later tomorrow for our show as guest. But yeah, I mean, I think 2-1 is probably right, unless Latte Lot breaks out and tattoos New York. I don't know how McGee's speed is as a 31-year-old. I would imagine he's slightly less blinding, but it'll be interesting to see the matchup. Whoever's matched up on Valencia on the left side of New York's defense will have some room to operate.
Well, and that could be that. Doesn't matter, I think, how Atlanta United will line up. I think you're going to see Miggy on the left. I think you're going to see Saba on the left. You're going to see them interchange. Latte Lot's going to want to run behind defenders and create havoc, doing his thing. He's not afraid to press. He's not afraid to run up there and get in somebody's face. He likes to run in behind. But yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of interplay. You're going to see a lot of switch. It's going to be okay. Who's got him here? Who's got him here? That kind of a thing to kind of create confusion. You have Miggy either on his dominant left, with his left foot going up against the defensive right, or you have him go up against to set up his left foot being set up on the right-hand side. So I think that there are a lot of interesting chess matches here.
Yeah, it'll be good. I mean, and I'll just say this. I mean, Sandro Schwartz is a terrific tactical coach. He has really proven adaptability. His team is bought in. He's one of the friendliest, happiest, nicest Germans I've ever met. He loves to joke. It's very light around the team. And I mean, we get our foreign-born coaches, and no one coaches here for more than 4. I mean, when Jesse started 2018, he started his 4th season with New York, and that had never been done before. So, I mean, we're not expecting Sandro to stay past next year, but he's been a breath of fresh air, and I think Red Bull fans clearly with the playoff run last year, really, really happy with him.
No doubt about it. All right, cut the promo for me. Where can folks follow you and everything that you guys do up there to get everybody smart and keep them smart?
Sure. I know your fans are very, very excited to follow the Red Bulls every week. It's Seeing Red NY, just about on every platform you got. We are no longer posting at that other place, and we're on Blue Sky, where we're finding a lot of OG soccer Twitter is reconstituting. And I don't know if you guys joined the league in time for OG soccer Twitter, but it was pretty great, and we encourage you to follow us at Seeing Red NY at Blue Sky, or on the IG, as you said the kids say, and Seeing Red NY on YouTube as well, where we're growing our audience. So thank you so much for having me, John.
Anytime, my friend. And like I said, this link is a universal. So that Friday free-for-all that I'm trying to have structured, basically, you come in, you sit there, and you rage for a couple of minutes, and then you check out. Literally, it's like the express lane for views on a Friday.
Excellent. Let's do it.
Great to see you, my friend. Don't be a stranger. We'll catch up soon, and we will talk down the road, okay?
Thanks for having me. Have a good day, everyone.
There goes Mark. And the trumpeters have tucked their trumpets with their blankets underneath, or whatever, the coats of arms that are attached to the front and the back. Tucked them back in. They've gone back to work. And that was fun. And what I wanted to, like I said, what I wanted to do is, and I'm going to try and do this as much as I can this year, is have folks come in who cover the opposition. Have the national folks come in whenever we can grab the national folks by the scruff of the neck. Have folks like Mark come in who have covered Red Bulls since, as far back as Seeing Red has existed, and to get their expertise so we can all be informed viewers, watchers, fans, 17s, the whole schmear. So that was why I wanted to bring in folks like Mark this season, bring in guys like Jamie Watson, bring in more informed folks, bring in a Glenn Davis to talk about Houston, bring in, Nico, like we always do, to talk about Seattle and the West Coast. I know that getting folks probably from it might be the Pacific time zone, might be the stretch when there's an LAFC or an LAG or a Portland or something like that. So we might have to work an East Coast guest in to talk about Western Conference teams, or we might have to tape something. But my goal this season during the week, working toward a matchup, is to have someone to discuss the opposition so we can all sit there and know what is either going to be happening in their barn, or when that club comes in to hang out at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So that is my goal. That is my goal. An attempted promise to you is that we all become better watchers and more informed when it comes to what to expect from these teams when they either come into town or you guys travel and hit the road. So that's it was fun. I'm glad that we were able to grab a hold of Mark and see what's going on up there with Red Bulls and the stadium named after a magazine that is apparently going to be farming out most of their stuff to an AI editor, AI copy editor and writers. It's like an $80,000 to $140,000 gig. You get to oversee their AI division. Literally, this job just came available, and it was discussed yesterday, I want to say, where job became available at that particular publication. And I still call it a publication because I'm still used to turning pages and things like that, even though it is just a website and once a monther. That's the other problem with SI, is that it's a once a monther now. And it's like, unless it's straight up features, there's no real reason to have the mag anymore because of the immediacy of everything. It was great when you were once a week, but then when you peel off once a week and you went once a month, there's no point. There's no point in subscribing anymore unless you're a features mag. But anyway, there was a story in SI yesterday about an AI copy editor or like an AI editor for their sports division. And it was like 80 to 140,000 a year where you get to oversee the AI and the story writing and all that kind of stuff. So, SI Stadium. I wonder what the investment was, and I wonder what the return on investment is and what they're looking for in that. Hey, here's corporate branding, and we'll give you a magazine once a month when you walk in the door. There you go. So, this is your magazine for the month, season ticket holder. You don't have to have it delivered anymore. So, but no, it was cool with Mark to be able to hang out with him and find out what's going on up there with Red Bulls. They're coming to town, and he mentioned there were a couple of things that I wanted to have discussed, not knowing the health status of Lewis Morgan and having Sofo, who has turned into a pretty decent, very, very inexpensive option at the forward position for your fantasy teams. Fix your fantasy, fix your fantasy, fix your fantasy. So against Nashville this past week, it was Nashville is somewhat offensively challenged. And the golazo that Forsberg hit was off a recycled play. They kept at it. And Forsberg, I want to say from about 22, wrapped it around the defense and got it past Joe Willis for one of the goals of the match. I will be intrigued to see how Choupo-Moting continues to adjust to the league and what the offense is going to be like. And as I was discussing with Mark, I'm firmly anticipating the 2 6s, whomever they are. Like I said, Mateus Klick was out, flu-like symptoms. And so Klick and Slish, I imagine they're going to be keeping an eye on Forsberg the entire time, cut off the supply lines, make sure that he can't do anything when he gets the ball, and that he has to get rid of it as quickly as humanly possible. So I imagine the 2 6s will be very, very busy with Emil Forsberg on the weekend at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Okay, time to see what else is going on with all of the other promos and things like that. Let me run through all of those, since Abby has mentioned that her morning espresso came after the start on the Twitch, and a lot of it has to do with how long Jason wants to go with his thoughts. There was one morning espresso brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University, where traditionally it's supposed to be a 10 to 15 minute either audio or video release plus the newsletter. And for those of you who are fanaticos, and we'll get into how you can become a fanatico in a bit, there was one time already with morning espresso where I think Jason went like well over 20 minutes. Because he had a lot on his mind and he was gone, and it's like morning espresso turned into a double shot. It turned into a double latte or a double espresso or whatever double espressos are. If they're double espressos, they're double espressos. And Jason went long. So there are times where if he's got a lot on his mind, morning espresso will go for a bit. And then it comes out in newsletter form if you are a subscriber, and then you get all of his thoughts in newsletter form as well. So morning espresso, newsletter, video, audio. So however you want your morning espresso delivered to you, that's how it is delivered to you. You get all three, but you get to pick and choose which one you get. So big ups to our friends at Oglethorpe University for being sponsors all across the board with us here at SDH with morning espresso, with our player of the game on the high school matches that we do. I'll get into that schedule because we have two locations today and one later in the week. But we'll get into the grid for a very, very busy week coming up in a sec. Okay, all the promos. Once again, we mentioned the early part about kickoff coffee. Don't forget, you can get your Olive and York jersey. Thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente. We couldn't do any of this without them. So thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente. That's why they're on the front of the jersey. You can get it at Olive and York. Beyond Goals Mentoring, Soccer for Good. You can get it personalized, the Navy jersey, either in white letters and numerals or in a lighter blue, a Carolina blue letter and numeral, go to Olive and York, help out our Soccer for Good for 2025. You can do it that way. Or you like sweatshirts and T-shirts and not soccer jerseys, you can go and go to our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. With Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co., what you can do is get the Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta gear, and that comes in T-shirt and sweatshirt, comes in the red or the black with the gold lettering. And when you purchase that, part of the proceeds go to our 2025 earmark campaign for middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system. So that is where that helps out. And then you also have all of the other Soccer for Good programs that we have. I'll get into being a Fanatico in just a second. Don't forget, you can help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. You buy all of their gear. You get the bucket hats, the 2 jerseys, all the things, but you want to buy the scarf, that comes from me. Other side of the door, I've got about a dozen before I reorder, and thanks to everybody who has picked up. So when you make an order with the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation to help them build the last nation on this planet to have a national soccer program, then you get all the gear. The rest of it comes from London, it comes from England, and it gets shipped from there. Scarves get shipped from the other side of this door. So you can help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation that way, and you can really help out a great cause and a great idea for growing the game as we go. Now, becoming a Fanatico, and you can do that by $10 a year. What do you do for $10 a year? What you can do for $10 a year is you can become a Fanatico. You go to the Chant app. I'm trying to do it where it's shining and it's not reflecting off of anything. For those watching on the video side, I'm flashing the Chant, the SDH section in the Chant app. $10 a year, you can become a Fanatico. You get a bunch of discounts across the board for some really cool places. You've got chants and leaderboards and stats. Now our partners, just to give you an idea, and I'll get into the how in just a second. But you can go to places like Brass Tap in Marietta, the Moxie Hotel in Midtown Atlanta, $20 off hotel food and beverage by going to the Moxie if you are a Fanatico. Schoolhouse Brewing, South Main Brewing in Watkinsville, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Hard Cider in Marietta, Round Trip in Marietta, in the East Cobb location. Social Fox in Norcross, $1 off select beers. Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, $15 off your first catered event. Fadeau's Midtown, the Midtown location, $10 off your food tabs. O'Sullivan's, you get 10% off of merch, 10% off your food bill, $5 off of beers. Lloyd's Soccer, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Dad's Garage, $2 off of beer and wine with a paid ticket. The Chateau Arenal, by the way, this one is one that I did not expect, and it's cool that they are a part of it as well. The Chateau Arenal, by the way, is located in El Castillo, San Ramon, Costa Rica. So let's just say you wanted to go and you had a wild hair and you wanted to go see, maybe Alajuelense or Herediano play in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. You could, as a part of that, stay at the Chateau Arenal. And if you use the code, you could get 10% off any booking if you are a Fanatico on the as a part of the SDH family. So, yeah, literally, you could get 10% off any booking in a joint in Costa Rica and go watch either LDA or Herediano and CONCACAF there and stay at the Chateau Arenal, and you get a discount, 10% off any booking using a code if you were a Fanatico. Battle and Brew, Tires Plus in Alpharetta, $25 off alignment services, $25 off of oil change, and $50 off of 4 tires at the old Milton Parkway location, Alpharetta. Wild Leap Brewing on Ted Turner Drive. Those kinds of things, by becoming a Fanatico, you could get invested in. Now, how do you do it, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. What you do by becoming a Fanatico, and it is a bit of a long email address, but $10 a year, you get all that stuff. Exclusive access to our group on the Chant app by becoming a Fanatico. Stay better connected to all that we do here at SDH. Sign up. You go and visit. Actually, tell you what. Let me do this. So I'm going to type it in to our Twitch pitch chat, and I'll see if I can do it correctly. Let's see that. that, I think this is correct, if I typed it correctly. So right here, that's how you do it. That's how you become a Fanatico. $10 a year, all those discounts and all those discounted places. You get into our group is on the Chant app. You get to have all kinds of discussions about all these kinds of things. I just realized now that where I'm positioned, I need to elevate my glance board so you can get all your scores, probably up here in the piano. But right there, group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join, and you get all the things that I was talking about and the community aspect of it. And we let you know what else is going on here at SDH. All of the things right here. Group.chant.fan/soccerdownhere/join. So there you go. That's Drew is going to be at Walton tonight. So here's part of the broadcast week that we have at SDH. Today it's very, very busy. We have the morning show, and its pieces and parts will be chopped up, and you can listen to the thing. You can listen to the entire show in its entirety, all of SDH AM, or you can listen to sections. We have Drew doing the double header of Harrison and Walton. That's that's on our Mixler channel at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Just download the Mixler app, MIXLR, and then you can follow Soccer Down Here and SDH2. This will be a day, I'm fairly certain, where we're going to have both channels up and running, because with Drew at Harrison and Walton, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock on the network, we will also be in Dalton because of Atlanta United and another one of the mini pitch unveilings. That's going to be in Dalton. Vestavia Hills is coming from Alabama to play Dalton at Chapel Harmon at 6 o'clock. And I believe Jason and Maddie are calling that one. I know Jason is up there for the event. I think it's going to be Jason and Maddie. So Jason and Maddie at 6 o'clock, Vestavia Hills and Dalton. Drew solo at Raider Valley, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, Harrison and Walton. So that's what's going on today. So on our Mixler channels, it's going to be a very, very busy day. Our high school soccer coverage, as always, traditionally brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Player of the game in all of these situations, presented by our friends at Oglethorpe University. And I'm sitting here trying to read all of the promos and see if I've missed anything when it comes to, I'm looking at the game promo reads to see if I've missed anything. So Harrison and Walton doubleheader tonight. Drew's at Raider Valley, 6 and 8. Soccerdownhere.mixler.com, or download the Mixler app. Follow Soccer Down Here. You get an email notification the second the match goes live. And then I firmly anticipate SDH2 will be up and running as well with Vestavia Hills and Dalton. That is a 6 o'clock kick at that is at Bill Chappell, Harmon Field and Bill Chappell Stadium in Dalton, Georgia. So that's today. Then tomorrow it will be your Atlanta United 2 preview. You can catch that on all the platforms. Then on Thursday, it is Heritage Catoosa at Gilmer. It's a chance for us to go and catch up with our friends once again in LJ. And it is an early season matchup with Heritage Catoosa and Gilmer at Gilmer in LJ. And I think that's a 5:30, 7:30. Max Preps had it at 5:30 and 7. I don't know how that's physically possible, but I think that at 5:30 and 7:30, it's going to be, I think it might be 5 and 7, 5:30, 7:30. Keep an eye out. I think we posted 5 and 7. So 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, unless things slide a half an hour. Heritage Catoosa and Gilmer is Thursday on the network. That is up in LJ. Friday, it is the season opener for the Twos in Kennesaw. And if you have not had an opportunity to witness any action at the Fraction, here is your opportunity to do so, because they kick off on Friday night for season for the 2025 season in MLS Next Pro. Yeah, see, and that's what you're hoping for if you're the opposition. You want the action at the Fraction, thank you, Ross Davenport, to be one way for Atlanta United 2. That is going to be fun. So we start our Atlanta United 2 coverage this week with the season preview in the midweek, And Friday night in Kennesaw, Red Bulls 2 taking on Atlanta United 2. And then Saturday night at Mercedes-Benz, it's the first teams. It's Red Bulls and Atlanta United, and that one is up and running. 7:40 start across all your platforms, and that's at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. So there you go. That's a lot, but that's a good thing. That's a lot. And I, once again, am leaving today to go for the basketball championships. And so the basketball championships, they're going to be in Macon. I will be wearing makeup and a suit, or just makeup and a blazer and slacks, starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The morning shows are still going to be there, because the second we hit 11:05, I'm out the door. And so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, morning show is going to be from a hotel room in Macon, Georgia. So that's not going to change. Rundown for tomorrow is as it always is. The informational exchange program with Tyler starts at 9:15. Hour number 2 gets you ready to roll through everything else that's going on Wall Pass Wednesday, and we can let you know what's going on there on Wednesday. So Thursday, Power Hour is going to be the same. It's going to be Nino and Nico at 10 and 10:35. The new general manager for Decatur FC, Josh Gold, is going to be joining us at 9:15, or right off the top at 9:05. Sorry. So, like, right off the top, the new GM for the WPSL franchise in Decatur FC, Josh Gold's going to be joining us. We'll find out about what he thinks about the WPSL, about his new gig, about Decatur FC, WPSL in general. How do you build off of season number 1, where you had over 2,000 fans at every home match? So we'll catch up with Josh off the top Thursday morning, and then we will catch up with Nino and Nico in the Power Hour in 10 o'clock on Thursday. So guest added, Power Hour still the same for hour number 2 on Thursday. Hour number 1 on Friday would get you ready for the weekend, all the AM news, that kind of stuff. Hopefully, Mr. Parkhurst can join us, and we find out how the Mogul in Training will try and best an Eastern Conference championship performance in USL Championship. What you doing for an encore, and where Tidewater Landing is in its building process, and all of the things Mogul in Training. And we'll catch up with him hopefully about also everything going on at Beyond Goals Mentoring. And then hour number 2 is your weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. Jason joins us at 10:30, where we talk about all the other matchups and everything on your mind leading into Matchweek 3. So that's the rest of the week. Yes, and the other thing, overnight, it is supposed to be really bad, because I have the Weather Channel on the Big 55 off to my left. And I've been looking at everything in the Midwest this morning. Right now, the line is in Louisiana, and it's supposed to be really bad when it comes to tornadoes, 50-50 shots in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and South Mississippi. So tomorrow, the weather is supposed to be ish. Be careful, be careful, be careful in all of that. So now you know the week here at SDH. You know the week with Atlanta United and the twos and the high school and all of our friends and all of our sponsors, how you can be a fanatico, all those things. There's a lot of stuff going on. And obviously we couldn't do it without you. So thanks to all of you for being a part of the network that you are. And I will go and now say hi to everybody and let you know what's going on with everybody in the Twitch pitch and what is on your collective minds this morning. Like I said, Kaylor Hodges, if he can escape at 10:30, we'll catch up with him and get the USL Championship and League One preview. Like, I was shocked that Tormenta were able to bring in Oscar, an experienced midfielder, troublemaker extraordinaire. Ian Cameron brings in Oscar, and Darren Van Tassel bringing in Oscar. That's a big one. So Tormenta ain't messing around here in the offseason. So we'll see what if Kaylor can escape, we'll see what his thoughts are on the whole thing. So let's see. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. Morning, Abby. And so Abby mentioning the situation in Charlotte, not allowed to throw drinks. They were explicit with our fans, even in celebration. And Alex reminds us when they talk about high gravity beer, this is what they're referring to. Yeah, and this is another point. This is another point from Alex. Chances of Alex throwing a free beer are 0. Chances of him throwing a $15 beer are negative 1,000%. Because, I would imagine, and I will say that I have not had alcohol in a very long time, but I would anticipate that the cost-benefit analysis, unless you are so fatigued with said beverage that you've had probably 3 or 4 others maybe of some description, and that your that your spend leading up to perhaps that last particular beverage, you're full, you don't want to have any more, you don't want it to go to waste. So here's what I'm going to do. Yay, high gravity beer. So, but yes, for Alex, chances of Alex throwing a $15 beer, negative 1,000%. Let's see. So Abby's mentioning what was going on with indoor and Johns Creek. Yeah, and all of you folks that have far more energy than I do. And so yeah, you guys have far more energy than I do. Absolutely true. Pars, favorite home game of the year has been for years. No other game in Major League Soccer like Atlanta and Red Bulls. Because I know a lot of folks will sit there and, Tito and Kamar Lawrence. And then the rope-a-dope that was played by Tata and Atlanta United at Red Bull Arena, where it's like, nope, here you go. Ball's got cooties. I don't want it. You deal with it. One of those kinds of things where you flip the script. And Andy Capp's biggest question: if Atlanta figures out how to play with the same intensity after the half, and that's getting that spark in that first 5 minutes. We always talk about the last 5 and the first 5. Doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. That's when you can make your most impact. And especially, and Nick will tell you this, especially when it comes to teams who, I was close. You can get them last 5 to 10 minutes of each half because of all of that energy that they exert in the press to that point. They're looking at the finish line, whatever that finish line is, and getting to 45 minutes or getting to 90 minutes and getting out of Dodge in one piece. They're looking at that finish line. So that last X number of minutes in each half is when you have a team that performs that way defensively, is when you should be able to make your hay because of all of that previous activity. So basically, Atlanta United is going to have to find ways to try and work through what the Red Bulls want to do. And that was why I wanted to ask Mark specifically about how different the press is under Sandro Schwarz than it is and has been under Lacine, Carnell, Armas, all of those and all those different folks. And I know that there's one that I'm missing that I can't think of off the top of my head. Who is it? Gerhard Struber. So it's been a little different. And that was why when Mark mentioned the formation change, that happened late last year also. And so you had a formation change late in the year. It is now whatever you want to call it when it comes to the formation now. Mark mentions wingbacks and 3-4-3 and all these kinds of things. Literally, whatever it is on the sheet, as soon as the whistle blows, it's going to be different anyway. So 3 wingbacks, 2, 3-4-1-2, is it, whatever, 3-5, just whatever. So once again, we always think of formations as a loose construct. But that's why philosophically I wanted to ask how the press is different under Schwarz than it has been with others in the past. But it's those last 10 minutes of each half where you can pretty much find your openings because of wanting to get it over with. So first 30 might be a bit of a slog, but you take advantage of it in that final 15, jump on them in the first 5, jump on them in the last 15. Those are the traditional windows. So that's what you're kind of looking at when it comes to United and everything that's there with them as they go up against Red Bulls. By the way, the boss is heading to the hand doctor. So we're going to see what the latest is with the hand. So we'll find out what's going on there. Let's see. Derek went to the Lumpkin-Franklin match on Friday. See, now Lumpkin and Franklin, that's mountain region. That is Carnesville and Dahlonega, and had a center ref with 2 ARs. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. But I think, and I think that this has been a good indicator for the growth of the game. And I know that when we have Bart on, we probably should ask about becoming a ref because of the lack of officials in general, and because of how folks on the sidelines feel compelled to yell at young individuals who want to try and have that as an avocation. Yeah, it is $50 a game, but for them, $50 is a lot of money. You do a handful of games in a day, or a handful in a weekend. That's some decent coin. But because of how adults act, you get a lot of folks that are turned away. But Derek, that is very cool that you went to the Lumpkin Franklin match. And off the top of my head, I'll just go ahead and ask, since I don't know if it was in Dahlonega or if it was in Carnesville. But where was it, and what was the crowd like? Because the early season games, early season matches, Lumpkin and Franklin. That to me sounds like a really cool rivalry in the North Georgia mountains up in the Northeast. So center ref and 2 ARs. The fact that they knew that they needed to have that, I think, was just as important. So very, very cool that was there. And the fact that you went to Lumpkin and Franklin, that's just as cool. Very nice. Let's see. So 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Oh, morning, Knicks. Welcome. It's been too long. Good to see you. Okay, so it was in Dahlonega. Solid crowd at Lumpkin. Very cool. Well, and so Derek lives in Dahlonega, and so he knows, and I know about what has been happening with the high school football program under Heath Webb, and the quarterback wide receiver combo that you had that took you deep into the playoffs. Full disclosure, story time with John. I guess I need a lower third for this. When we do the postseason over at GPB, and this will be a short story before we get into the rest of Major League Soccer. We do a post game show, and I would hope that a lot of you are either representing your schools and hanging out in your schools and your home games or on the road and that kind of a thing. Postseason, what we do is we have a post game show on GPB, and Hannah Gooden and I do it from the studios in Atlanta. Game is the game, and Hannah and I do the post game show. We do that in the studio. So Lumpkin was making a run, it's either last year or 2 years ago, and it was a big win for Lumpkin County, and it was a home game. Wow. Okay, that's random. That Heath married to one of your best friend's sisters. Wow. Okay, that is random. And what we like to do is we like to catch up with coaches around the state, find out about the win, all those kinds of things. We called the coach at Lumpkin County after a home game, and it was a home game that had ended fairly early. So we dialed him up, and we bring the coaches in via Zoom, and we do that. Literally, he was in downtown Dahlonega, and he had all of the Christmas lights up behind him because he knew how to structure a shot. He was having a post-game meal with his coaches in downtown Dahlonega. And when he found out that it was us that was calling for the post-game show, his assistant coaches are like, "No, you got to take that." So he walked outside the restaurant in the heart of downtown Dahlonega, did our segment on his cell phone via Zoom, and then went back in to catch up with the coaches and finish his meal. I thought that was cool. I thought that was a really cool thing. And besides, he knew how to frame the shot too, because he was downtown. You got the holiday lights behind you and everything. Anyway, so to see what it means across the board with all of these schools and all of these towns, it's one of the reasons why when we're doing the games of the week now for soccer, that we're going to Ellijay, that we're going to Dalton, that we're going to we're going to be going to the Pinelands. I'm going to be going in a week from today. I will be in the Pinelands for Appling County and Jeff Davis. Tonight, I think, is round one, the reverse in Baxley, the reverse fixtures in a week. So I will be down in the Pinelands in Hazelhurst for Appling County and Jeff Davis a week from tonight. And because of what these rivalries are on a football Friday night in the fall, they're becoming that now on football games of the week, Monday Night Football, Friday Night Football, whatever. They're turning into these and developing into these matchups during the week, during soccer season. And for us to be able to, I mean, literally, here's the schedule that Jason composited when we started the spring and summer. It's 4 pages. 4 pages of where we'd like to be. And we're seeing a lot of places where rivalries are developing, and it's in places that are outside the city. I mean, we've been to Gainesville to do Gainesville and North Gwinnett early in the year. I mean, you're looking at, let's see. We had Dalton, we had Appalachia, we've had Gainesville. It's been Thompson and Lincoln County was last week, going to Lincolnton, back into Atlanta. West Forsyth and Lambert was on Friday night, and I was there for that. Once again, Ellijay on Thursday, the Pinelands on Tuesday, Johnson, Gainesville next Friday the 14th. Then you've got Jefferson planned on the 21st. So I guess we're letting folks know that they're on the clock. Jefferson on the 21st, Social Circle on the 24th, Warner Robins and Perry on the 27th. And that's just to get us through March, plus all of the local stuff too. To be able to see these rivalries like Derek has in the mountains with Lumpkin and Franklin in this particular case, it's been really cool for us to be able to share them with you when we have our games. So, anyway, that was your sidebar when it came to the games of the week and why we do them. Today is a PSA day for Abby. National Pancake Day. Free short stacks at IHOP, dining in until 8 o'clock. So if you're hungry for pancakes, go to IHOP. It's National Pancake Day. Okay. Kaylor Hodges set to join us in about 20 minutes, unless he tells me otherwise. And what we will do is we will go over anything and everything as we have it going forward. So the stuff, that's the official term, in and around Major League Soccer. Now, I know a lot of folks that we'll go over all the other matches, and also we'll have a larger discussion with Tyler tomorrow about Atlanta United and so on. I know a lot of folks on social, because it's an opportunity for them to type something and go away. On the 280 character app, it was the last game of the week, Sunday Night Soccer, Messi and friends in Houston. And when Javier Mascherano announced that Messi was not making the trip, a lot of folks started to hem and haw and stomp their feet that Messi wasn't coming to Houston. And I thought that the Dynamo did a stand-up move, and it's like, okay, well, we'll give you free tickets to another matchup. They didn't have to do that, but they wanted to continue to have the fans who might have been disappointed, who might have been coming in the door the first time, to come and see Messi and Messi and friends. Although if you were a fan of the Dynamo, by the time the match was over, I don't know if you wanted to come and see Messi and friends ever again. But the stand-up move, I think, by Houston to sit there and it's like, okay, it wasn't our fault that they decided not to. But and this is the other thing in this, is that if you think about their schedule, meaning Messi and friends, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with their schedule. I mean, and add to that Messi playing for Argentina. So all of these different things going into play, schedule compression, CONCACAF hemispheric extravaganza, Messi playing for Argentina. There are going to be dates where he's either not going to start or not going to show. That's that's crowded scheduling. Teams that have this kind of stuff, they're going to rotate. So we see the same thing with the squads that we follow in Europe. You might have a Premier League match where a squad's rotated. You might have a Gummy Bear Cup match where it's rotated. Players may show up and they wander in their warm-up suits, but they may not necessarily play. But I thought it was a stand-up move for Houston, even though it was through no fault of their own, that they were going to Sit there and it's like, okay, sorry he's not here, but we'll give you tickets to another match down the line. And next time that we have Glenn Davis in, we can have Glenn to talk about that as well. But Luis Suarez kind of took care of things, and then it was a goal and 3 assists by the time they were done, and you end up with a big win for Messi and friends, and you got to see the other players that they had brought in the offseason that were TAMs or salaried or what have you, and it was a long adventure for the Dynamo, down 3-0 at the break, and from there just carried on to a 4-1 win. So a goal and 3 assists for Luis Suarez. Didn't seem like they missed a beat. We talked about yesterday in Reffing Down Here the incident with Bartlow and Ian Frey and what wasn't picked up by Kowalczyk on Jordi Alba. So and there have been other angles that have been released on the Dickerson Frey Bartlow incident. And so it's you look at it and you're going, okay, I am waiting for Pro's official response in this particular situation. I am wondering if Kowalczyk, because of him literally stomping on Jordi Alba's foot, doesn't get an envelope from the league. And I'm wondering if Bartlow gets an envelope from the league. And I'm also wondering what the conversation will be involving the man in the middle. It is not the first time that so literally we've had discussions on this program over years over Joe Dickerson. What will the response be there? That's another question in and of itself. How will his actions be regarded as? To end a sentence in a preposition. So that's those are my questions when it comes to that particular match. What will it look like? How many more envelopes will be sent away? And what will the response be to the man in the middle? So we'll see. Working backward, Vancouver beat LA 2-1. And BC Place traditionally very, very tough place to play. It's tough for whatever reason. Could be a combination of having to check in and customs and all these kinds of things and plotting and planning and all that. But Vancouver traditionally at home is a very, very tough place to play. And Brian White and Ryan Gall just keep scoring goals. So Vancouver and LA, and Vancouver gets the win 2-1. San Diego, we talked about Mikey Veras yesterday and the chant that popped up in the second half on 3 separate occasions. And yes, capital T, capital C, the chant. The one that has no business in any stadium, anywhere, any place, anytime. And Mikey Veras made a point in his post-match press conference in a goalless draw where he said that this is not a part of who we are. And San Diego is going to – they came out with a statement yesterday saying that they were going to – and let me find the wording of the club, because I want their wording to be out in the planet, in the world, so you can hear it. What took place during our first ever home match does not reflect who we are as a club or the values we stand for. The sport of football brings people together, and in San Diego, that inclusive spirit thrives. The use of homophobic language in our stadium is completely unacceptable, will not be tolerated. San Diego FC is built on respect and the belief that soccer is for everyone. We are committed to fostering an environment where all fans, players, and staff feel safe and welcome. We will take immediate steps to address this behavior. We'll communicate a detailed plan prior to the next home match. So that is so they issued it twice. So they issued it in a communique, a direct communique from the club and also to everyone else outside the club. So keep an eye out for that, and we'll see what happens with San Diego. Portland got the one goal they needed. That's the only goal they needed. And we always talk about hot seats. And for whatever reason, Neville is on the hot seat. He gets the win, full points against Austin. LAFC needed 1 goal. They got 1 goal. NYCFC, I wonder where their offense is going to come from. I really do at the moment. Because if you have other folks that are on the way out the door and I'm not seeing adequate replacements coming in, I'm wondering where the goals are going to come from NYCFC. Colorado and Dallas got into the drinks at the back of the fridge and the food that had an expiration date of like 2 years ago. So Keegan Rosenberry scored to make it 1-0. Navarro made it 2-0. So Colorado's up 2-0. Everything's cool for Colorado, right? Wrong. I feel like I should have used the drop there. My fake McLaughlin group drop is probably what I should have used there. So if I can find it quickly, I will. So it's 2-0. Okay, here we go.
Wrong.
Yeah, so we'll loop it so that way I can play it. But the thing is,
Wrong.
Yeah, so there you go. There it is. Wrong. It was 2-0, and then it wasn't. Before the half, Pedrinho and Lucho Acosta scored to make it 2-2. So just when you had a 2-0 lead, most dangerous lead in soccer, 2-0 ends up at 2-2 after Acosta scores, and that was the intermission. And then Peter Musa scored in the 68th, and then Navarro got his brace 4 minutes later, and then the last 20 minutes were chaos. Colorado and Dallas, 3-3 by the time it was done. 32 shots on total, 11 of them on target, 12 blocks. I'm checking the other numbers. 16 clearances, 11 were by the visitors. 24 fouls, 15 of those were by Colorado, and only 2 yellow cards. But yeah, by the time the match was over, 6 goals had been scored, and it was a 3-3 draw. So that was one of the late matches. If you watch Kevin and Dax and Sasha and BWP and Kaylin and the Geo Hour, then you saw that there was a lot of chaos going on in that particular studio. Oh, we gotta go. One of those. So now Kevin has gotten to the point to where he'll get something in his ear. Oh, we gotta go. When you're talking about a particular topic. So just so we know, and we go down this road occasionally when it comes to retroactive juice boxes. So the draw in and of itself was a plus 247 with Colorado and Dallas. The total, if you had 5.5 and you went over 5.5, that's a plus 858. So you did pretty decent in the juice boxes if you thought that game was going to be the chaos that it was. And congratulations to you if you did. Minnesota got the 1 goal they needed to beat Montreal 1-0. San Jose beat Kansas City 2-1. Kansas City, I think is still trying to recover from CONCACAF and freezing and thawing and all that stuff. San Jose is going to score. And Joseph moves up the ladder on Major League Soccer's all-time list. Chicho Arango, Joseph Martinez scored in the first 20 minutes. Dejan Joveljic got a PK in the 27th to make it 2-1, but that was it. Hernan Lopez gets a red. But yeah, that's what if you're Bruce Arena, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for goals from Chicho and Joseph, and that's what you got. You also want to talk on the interesting things in the fridge. Chicago and DC, not a game that I would have anticipated being, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of offense. 2-2 by the time they were done. Benteke on a turnover got a goal in the 4th minute. Then Hugo Kuipers got one in the 30th to tie it. Got another one in the 71st to take the lead. And then if you missed it, the Jacob Morel bicycle kick at 90+6 drew the game at 2-2. And they still had, I think, 4 extra minutes after that. And DC was trying to chase after the win. They didn't get it. Absolutely true, Emilio. It was a Jack Germondo lean-in. Morton Kondracki, Eleanor Clift, and our buddy John McLaughlin. Wrong! This was not the this was the drop from the Saturday evening late night show that parodied it.
Wrong.
Yes, so that's where that came from. And I know that I've got to fix volumes. I don't know what it is when it integrates, but anyway. 2-2 draw with that one. Philadelphia, we were talking with Mark in early in the first hour. Philadelphia, where are these goals coming from? Maybe once again it's Bradley Carnell first time through the order. I don't know. Barbo a hat trick. Damiani scores at 90+3. Cincinnati had the one goal from Evander, but it was stunning. Barabo at 6:30. 2-0 at the break. 3-0 after he got his hattie. 6 minutes later, Evander scores, and then Damiani scores at 90+3. Did not have 4 goals in Philadelphia together in the same sentence on my bingo card. Toronto, there's problems. There are real problems in Toronto. And for the purple team to put 4 on Toronto in Central Florida, Araujo, Freeman, and by the way, Alex is the son of the former Green Bay Packers wide receiver, by the way. So Araujo, Freeman, Ojeda, and Thorhalson. 2 goals in 14 minutes for Toronto at 72 to make it 3-1, and then Davy Flores on a banger that made it 4-2. But there are problems in Toronto. There are problems. Same in Nashville. I don't know. I mean, is it as easy as, keeping Surridge and Honey Mukhtar from getting the ball? Is it that easy? We'll find out. I mean, 2-0, Nashville had no goals on the board. Then it was Columbus over New England, got the 1 goal they needed. RSL beat Seattle 2-0, and then we'll talk about Charlotte and Atlanta all week. It's that time. It is that time, by the way, people. And we've got to figure out if we're going to do this at the beginning of the month or if we do it today, and I get my calendar, and then we look at the last Tuesday of the month and start it this way. And this is where we'll start our discussion with our buddy Kaylor Hodges from at the USL show. And so Kaylor's hiding officially. So how would you like to do it this year? Would you like to do it on the first Tuesday, considering that we are leaning into the schedule as we are? Or would you like to do it on the last Tuesday like we've been doing it to wrap up the month as we go? But that means that you show up in 3 weeks in your normal time slot to talk about the month that was.
Well, if I'm really thinking about this, if we go to the last one of the last Tuesday of the month,
right,
then the very last week of the regular season would lead us straight into the playoffs.
Okay.
So the very next week would be playoffs. So it could be a playoff preview at the end of the month. So if we want to think long game, probably the end of the month.
Okay. All right. So then what we'll do is we'll have you back in 3 weeks, and that'll start your normal rotation. And then we'll have you for the last Tuesday of every month, and then that'll lead into everything, and then we can talk about all the stuff. So then there, it's settled. When it comes to USL Championship, USL League One, heading into this season, from 30,000 feet, what were some of the outside of the desire to start the Division I league on the field of play with the teams that are currently engaged as we see them? What were some of the big storylines from the offseason leading into 2025 for the teams that are currently active?
We have finished up our USL Championship previews. We've done our Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and we're doing our League One preview tonight. And, a lot of those League One storylines, we kind of discover them as we kind of talk through them. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to mostly focus on the championship side, although there are some fun ones in League One.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the most interesting conversation in the USL from top to bottom is the Las Vegas Lights.
Yep.
Where they do incredible business, right? Last year they invest. Oh my gosh, what happens when you invest in a team? They start winning. Crazy. And then they have Dennis Sanchez. Well, Dennis Sanchez gets bought out and goes over to New Mexico. Not a whole lot of players follow. So you're looking at one of the most talented rosters in Las Vegas, which should make them a shoe-in for the playoffs. Except they hire a coach that is the worst team we have ever seen in the USL. And that is not an exaggeration. According to our friend Ryan Allen, according to the ELO ratings, they are the worst team to ever field a team across any level of competition in the USL.
Wow.
Now, is the answer to Nocerino, hey, they just let me buy young Italians and no one else? Like, I was working with the most shoestring budget ever? Maybe. Or is he not that good of a coach? We don't really know. And so, despite having an established roster and kind of an established coach, dude, they're both just question marks because one's amazing and one's awful. So, what do you have? The other big one is Lexington,
Mm-hmm.
where, yes, okay, people, I understand that they're not an expansion team. They have been around for years now. I understand this, but they're making the jump to the championship with only 2-3 returning players and not a single person left on the roster from their inaugural season just 2 years ago. They have made over 20 new signings. By all intents and purposes, they are an expansion team. So what are they going to look like? Because when you look top to, I think they have 23, 24 players on their roster. They're deeper than anybody else in the league. They are deeper than teams like Louisville, than Charleston, than Sacramento, than you name them, they're deeper. They were deeper last year too, and they were one of the worst teams in the league.
Yes.
What does it really mean? They're, by all intents and purposes, an expansion team, which means it's going to take time for them to gel. Look at Rhode Island. It took them a long time to start winning, despite having amazing talent. I think seeing how long it takes Lexington to figure out is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and I mean, when teams have made the jump one direction or the other, and Charlotte Independence sticks in my mind as one of those clubs that has yo-yoed and gone up and down. I mean, it is a hard decision to try to figure out, and it's a hard decision to figure out what you want to do and how you want to approach it. And I think that Lexington will be an interesting test case for other clubs who might have that as an idea. They want to test themselves and they want to go up a division or something like that. Or you have a team in the championship realize, hey, man, this ain't our bag. We should drop down a level. I think that Lexington basically bringing, having some of their USL oneers come up with them and try to bring in all of this talent. Do you give them to the quarter pole? Do you say 10 matches in and then you figure out, okay, this is who I think they're going to be, and it may not be a pretty picture in year one?
I mean, when I talk about how deep they are, I think they're going to I think Boss, which is their new coach, I think he's going to have to thread a very thin line, a very thin hole here of finding your best players, but not over rotating.
Yeah.
Because they are legitimately 23, 24 players deep. So how do you get them all playing time without completely screwing up the chemistry? And if you find the team that works, how do you keep those guys from not being locker room cancers, right? They have been built off of some players who have bounced around the league who are known to be issues. Not saying they are, right? Everything is in context, right? Maybe that was just a bad situation, but there's a couple players that have reputations. How do you keep those guys happy? I think that, again, that's what makes it fascinating. Do you over tinker to keep everyone happy? But if you're not winning, no one's happy.
Right.
It's so fascinating.
Especially the folks that are investing all the money in the stadium and all the environment around it with all the practice fields. I mean, the live, work, play thing, the environment that they're trying to create there in Lexington, and have it be this cornerstone of the sport there in that particular part of Kentucky. I mean, I appreciate the ambition and I love what they're doing. And I know that Lex SC is going to be the front element of all of this. And it's going to be a delicate dance with your first year in. You want to make an impression. Do you go? Are you going to be like Nottingham Forest and Evangelinas Marinakis, where you just invest a lot of money, bring in a lot of players, and whatever happens, and you have issues with chemistry and managers and everything? Or does it mesh? I think it's going to be a fascinating thing this year with All right, when do you mesh? How do you mesh? What does it look like? And then what happens if it doesn't? Is the patience going to be there from the fan base? Is the patience going to be there from the front office? There are so many questions. I am intrigued. Period. When it comes to
To actually answer your question, by the way, how long do I give them?
Yeah.
The Western Conference has not invested much this offseason.
Okay.
Like it has not been a lot of investment. A lot of teams that you expect to be good are probably going to stay good.
Mm-hmm.
As an outsider, I would give them till halfway through the season.
Okay.
Because I think that sneaking into the playoffs, not only is that a massive upgrade from last year from being one of the worst teams in the league,
Mm-hmm.
also it's hard. It's hard to make the playoffs despite the fact that 66% of the league makes it, but that's another conversation. It is hard, but I think Lexington fans are going to have a short fuse.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Lexington fans, if it doesn't start off hot, they're going to turn because they saw how this same exact song and dance went last year. I think the neutral and the fan are going to have completely different expectations.
Yeah, and I think that's the balancing part of the balancing act that you're going to have in Lexington. When it comes to, and by the way, I believe that Lex send you a new jersey to add to your collection?
Not me. That was Mr. John Morrissey.
Oh, what is more of? It's in the what? Come on now.
I think that I was a little too mean to Lexington last year, and I'll be honest, I don't blame them.
Well, I mean, it was rough for them last year. I mean, you bring in Cameron Lancaster, you bring in the older talent, and it doesn't quite mesh. Kaylor Hodges dropping by, being properly hydrated from at the USL show, and we get our USL championship and preview here. They're cutting their USL League One preview tonight on all of the live social medias. I believe it's going to be on the YouTubes and every place else tonight.
Yeah, we're on YouTube and Twitch. We don't do the Twitter, Instagram streams, but we do have a special guest. We are being joined by former Northern Colorado head coach and Jägermeister Cup winner, Eamon Zayed, and he is going to be helping us break down League One. So it's going to be really fun.
Nice, very, very cool. When it comes to Charleston, who released their 2025 kit this morning, by the way,
so good.
They lose Marcanic, but they lose him in a financial sense because they sell him on, and that's never a bad thing when you can do that as a franchise. When you look at a lot of the big guns from last year, how much of it from, say, a Lou City and a Charleston was maintaining? How much tinkering did they do in the offseason to try to make sure that they were going to continue to be at the top of the East?
I think that the top three in the East are settled. If it does not end Lou City, Charleston, Rhode Island in some variation of that order, something bad happened to one of those three teams, or a team is just so much better than we were ever expecting. That team that I would expect that to be Pittsburgh. I have a hot take about them.
Okay.
I think that when you look at Charleston, you lose Marcanic. And yes, you're losing a wide player, but bringing in Clean from St. Louis, that's an amazing pickup. Juan David Torres, one of the best players in the league, and he is the best free kick taker, if not the second best, to his own teammate Aaron Malloy.
Yeah,
Malloy is now being partnered with in the middle of the field of Husu, which if you did not watch New Mexico last year, you missed a treat because he was the best central defensive midfielder in the league. And so Charleston said, we can't have just one best defensive midfielder in the league. We have to have both of them.
We need both best defensive midfielders.
And if you're saying, well, how can we bring back the goals from Marcanic? Young Padawan Cal Jennings is not a bad place to go.
Yeah.
MD Myers, one of the best players in MLS Next Pro 2 years ago, never really got going. He scored goals, don't get me wrong, but compared to a Marcanic, you don't really compare. But also, he didn't have to score goals. Being that supporter type player, that supportive player, he can do that again with Cal Jennings. I think your biggest question mark, if you are Charleston, is Zamudio in net. Because Kuzminka got hurt. Gardner was brought in just kind of last second. Can he replace what we saw with Grinwiz last year?
Yep.
Grinwiz is one of the most fearless goalkeepers I've ever seen and just uber talented. Can you replace him? But also, you're looking at Smith, Archer, Sekvers, Dos Santos in the back line, and also you have Usu and Malloy supporting that back line as well. You may not even need a goalkeeper. You just might not need one.
Yeah.
When I look at Louisville City, they should be your favorites to repeat as player shields.
Yeah.
They lose an Elijah Winder, which I think is going to be a bigger loss than people expect.
Mm-hmm.
You lose a Wilson Harris to the top flight in Israel. They have Philip Goodrum.
Yeah. Last time I heard, he's okay at putting the ball in the net.
And you replace Winder with Zach Duncan, who is one of the most underrated midfielders. However, I think that this Lou City team has the chance to fall off. They're still going to be a top 3 team. That's falling off for their standards is not boat racing everybody else.
Right.
I could see them falling as low as 3rd because losing a guy like Winder, I think, is a huge deal. Is Wes Sharpie? You lose him as well. Who's going to be your emergency player to put in that back line to put out onto a fullback if needed? Those are questions that are going to be asked. I think Rhode Island, when you add in a Maxi Rodriguez, you're looking at an amazing team, not just good, amazing team that obviously made it to the USL final. I think that those 3, you can really put them in whatever order, and I'm not going to fight you too hard on it.
And our friend Michael Parkhurst won't fight us on it either. Rhode Island, when you look at what Cano Smith did, it took them a while. You know, we always would joke that they were the kings of the draw.
Yep.
And then as they figured out what Cano Smith wanted them to do on the field, those ones turned into threes. And at the end of the season, they turned into that group that made it to the last game of the year. I mean, when can you think of the last time a first-year team did something like this and had this kind of an impact in USL Championship, or is this kind of a new dog?
I mean, Sacramento Republic, their very first year in the league, they win it all. Like, that's kind of the last time you've seen something like this. Louisville City kind of did it in their first year. You can look at League One, but like you have your own comparison, honestly, with Spokane Velocity, where they were, not to be fair, they were much worse than what Rhode Island were doing. Don't get that twisted. But they get as hot can be. And when it matters in the playoffs, right before the playoffs. I think when you're looking at those 2 teams, that's who you're looking at. Both teams have added. I think that one thing that I appreciate about both Rhode Island and Spokane is that they did not just say, we'll just run it back with the same exact team. They added to those teams. And again, are arguably top 3 teams in their respective leagues. Both of them have arguments for number 1.
All right, I'll bite. What's your hot take on Pittsburgh? And that voice you hear is Bob Lilly yelling at Highmark, and we can hear him all the way from there.
I think that this team has a chance to win the Player Shield.
Oh, okay.
The most impactful signing ever probably is Augie Williams. When's the last time that Pittsburgh has brought in a bona fide goal scorer? Usually they just create them. This time they're bringing them in. No, they don't. As of right now, they don't have a right back, but also Bob Lilly creates defenders out of thin air. You find some random college guy you've never made, he'll defend. It's going great.
Yep.
You're looking at a Griffin who's going to be in that midfield. You're looking at just a team that got hot at the right time. You can trust this team to defend. There's no question that they are going to be amazing in the back line. I mean, Suber, you have Osimanu, you have Biasi. They're going to be great. Oh, they actually just signed Barnes. I forgot about that. And Etu. They are great. Then you look at a Robbie Mertz, who is fantastic. Jackson, who came in and started scoring goals. I think he had like 17 hat tricks in 3 games, something like that. And then you bring in a bona fide goal scorer in Augie Williams. The question for Pittsburgh has always been, will they score enough goals? But frankly, with this Pittsburgh team, all you need is one. All you need is one goal, and you're probably walking away with 3 points. Augie Williams is known to score more than just one goal.
Yes.
Jackson's known for that. Mertz, the same thing. I think this team has real deal aspirations, and if they win the Players' Shield, I cannot wait just to tell I told you so, because Bob Lilly's a genius defensively, and they have invested in someone to score.
And so, yes, you do reserve the sticking your thumbs in your ears at the end of the season with us and going nanny, nanny, boo, boo to anyone willing to listen. At Kaylor Hodges at the USL show, and they're doing their USL League One preview tonight. Follow them on all their social medias. And let me see if I can, where is it? It is right there, as a matter of fact. There is our at the USL scarf, as we always have it. So it's always right there. Okay. In the East, who do you anticipate not doing what they did last year? Who is primed for a fall? Is it Detroit City because of letting a scorer like Maxey go? And I would imagine that they're not going to be spending as much money as they have in the past if they're going to be building this new stadium over at the old hospital grounds.
Detroit City confuses me just in general. I see Detroit City and what Danny Dichio does defensively. I think you can trust that. They also have Saldana, who's going to be getting all of the minutes and goal. No switching back and forth with Nate Steinwasser, who just recently retired.
Oh, wow.
Your question is who's going to score the goals, right? Sebastian Guinzotti is not a bad option, but he's not Sebastian Guinzotti from the Tampa Bay Rowdies anymore.
Okay.
That's just not who he is. Morris is great. I think he's awesome, but who's going to feed him the ball? Juve coming in from Lexington feels like a good guy, but where's he going to fit? I still think Detroit City can finish in a playoff spot. I think that their defense can do enough. I think the team that's going to have the hardest crash, and it's a team that missed the playoffs, but were promising all year. If Loudon goes back to the 4-4-2, I think that they are going to be easily the worst team in the league.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Last year they finished in like this 3-4-3 kind of shape, and they were promising. They were one of the best defensive teams in the league. The question was, will they score goals? And they were getting goals. They got cold at the wrong times, makes them miss the playoff, but you saw what they could be, and you told yourself, if they invest in this roster a little bit more, they're going to make the playoffs, especially if they stick to this 3-4-3. If they go to the 4-4-2, they didn't invest enough with players up top to do it. They're taking away defensive options. And I know why they would go to the 4-4-2. It's because they want to get more attackers on the field to score more goals. But when your strength is in the defense, why would you wink at it? Especially when your attack didn't get better either. I think that if they stay with the 4-4-2, I think that they are going to easily be the worst team in the East.
Okay, two more teams in the East before we go to the West. Is the Miami FC going to win more than 3 games this year?
I think they're going to be more competent than they were last year.
Minus 63 in goal difference. That was amazing to me.
Yes, they've invested. Ricketts is good. Bolo Akanyode is a really good player. You're looking at a Blanco, who you are asking him to be the guy at the number 10 when, by all accounts, his legs are just not there anymore.
Right.
I think that they are going to be more competent. I think that they are going to look like a better team. I think they'll squeak out wins more. Will they be good? No.
Yeah.
But I do see them massively improving. I do think it's funny that they just said the Italian thing didn't work. What if we bought every Argentinian now? So, like, at some point, we're just going to go through every just country, and I just find that very fun.
Hey, look, when they want to go and become the San Marino version for the Miami FC, we'll be right behind it. Hometown question for you: what do you think about Birmingham this year?
This team is going to be so much fun. Defensively, you're going to ask questions because you're looking at losing a guy in Alex Cronale who he was on the pitch when he wasn't suspended.
Yes, that is true.
Right. Like that's really the biggest question. But you bring in an Ethan Coase who has been playing in the top flight in Ireland for like 2 years, despite only being 23. Rami Zamuda is one of the bright young stars in this league. And I mean, you saw him against Atlanta United, arguably was the best player for Birmingham Legion on that day at only 16 years old. I think the attack is going to be awesome with the Danny Trejo, with the Tyler Pasher, with the Renato Damas. And Trey Garthen is a guy who's really surprised me. And they have another signing that has not been made official yet, but seems like it's an open secret at this point. Torres, who was a draft pick by Minnesota United in this most recent draft. I think this team's going to be fun. Will they be able to hold up defensively? I don't know. But, I mean, let's be completely honest here. People want to come to the game to see goals. If it's a goal fest, people are going to have more of a good time. Which would fans rather see, a 1-0 win or a 3-2 win? Definitely the latter. I think it's going to be a fun team.
Out west, there are some interesting pickups. We've talked in the Atlanta area. You want Nick to do well, and I know that they're hoping that he gets the opportunities like he had 2 seasons ago in MLS Next Pro where he was chasing after Golden Boot. I think that Lex picking up Nick Firmino, that is one of the ones for me that's in the spot shadow. I also know that a lot of folks in Atlanta, when Jurgen Damm was picked up by Oakland Roots, you had the thought bubbles and the question marks and the exclamation points going on over their heads. And then the other one that I thought was interesting comes from League One, and it's Orange County picking up Lyle McKinnon from Greenville Triumph. We know what he can do in League One when it comes to being a scorer. Now he'll get the chance to do that out at OC.
I'm going to start off with Orange County because I think they're going to win the West.
Okay.
I am bullish on this team. Defensively, they were really good. Like, they bring in Duty, who was great for Las Vegas. Brewitt was awesome. Miles was great. Shuttler comes in, or he stays in, and if he continues his form, he was awesome. You're looking at a Dunbar and a Jameson on the right wing, Bryce Jameson, who is going to be sold for so much money. You look at Zubak, you look at Traeger, another Atlanta guy, who he gets kind of rescued from Monterey Bay. Let's see how many goals that they can score. And Liam McKinnon, you're looking at a guy who I think can be the proper heir to the throne from your Milan Olowski. He is the guy that can recreate those goals. This team looks more and more like the one that was just scoring goals, defensively stout. I think that they are going to be the best team in the West. I'm trying to remember all the teams that you said to me. I'm sorry.
No.
Lexington.
Well, it was Lex with Nick Firmino. We talked about Lex.
Dom.
Yeah,
Oakland.
Dom and Oakland was the other one. Yeah.
Oakland confuses me. Because they sell Johnny Rodriguez to Las Vegas Lights.
Yeah.
Easily their best player. And you're really hoping that it was going to be Johnny Rodriguez and Panos Armanakis, easy for me to say.
Yes.
And Armanakis was awesome. He's an awesome player when he has someone to pass the ball to and score.
Yeah.
You can kind of ask him to be a one-man show. Loudon did it a couple years ago. Then he gets traded to Phoenix Rising, where they had Danny Trejo and other amazing players. Oakland doesn't have that anymore with Rodriguez. I think Dom might find the proper place for him to play, which is Oakland. They're a supportive fan base who, especially Oakland, being really committing to rooted in Oakland. Keep an eye on that Oakland Coliseum space, by the way, because the numbers that I'm being told already, you need to watch that match. It's going to blow your mind how many people are there.
Bring it. I love that they're playing at the Coliseum. I love it.
When you look at a fan base that is going to support the Oakland roots because they are truly rooted in Oakland, playing at the place that rooted in Oakland was ripped up from.
Yep.
I think that Dom is going to have a lot more support and a lot more leash than he had in Atlanta and then Liga MX. I think he's going to have more success, but I don't think that's going to translate to the Roots winning.
Yeah, and I'll give you one more Atlanta United player that was in the system last year, Noble Okello, who did some yeoman work for the Twos. And I know a lot of folks are happy that Noble found a home in Phoenix to help out with Phoenix Rising. So there's a lot of Atlanta United connections in USL Championship this year because of folks moving over that are intriguing across the board. In the West last year, Colorado Springs made their way through, and they were the two. New Mexico United, they fizzled at the absolute wrong time. And we don't have a Memphis. We will have a Santa Barbara at some point. I think next season is Santa Barbara, right?
Yep.
Who are you anticipating, who are you anticipating to have a bounce back? And who are you anticipating not repeating what they did in 24?
I am a believer in what Phoenix Rising are doing. I think that what they are doing can be really good. I also look at El Paso as a team that looks defensively competent. And if they can get anything out of their attack, I think they can make a jump. When you're looking at a team that could fall off, I mean, I already told you, I don't know what Las Vegas is. They were your highest scorers last year, and they could be your quickest followers. They could also be awesome. I have no idea. But I think that if you look in the middle of the season and you see Las Vegas Lights sitting in 10th, despite the talent on the roster, I don't think you're incredibly surprised.
Okay. All right. Cut the promo because I know that you turn into a pumpkin because you actually work for a living.
Yeah.
So go ahead and cut the promo so you don't get in trouble.
Well, before I tell you about the League One preview tonight, can I give you a League One take for me?
Absolutely. I love the Oscars pickup with Tormenta, by the way.
I want to stick with Tormenta. Yaniv Vazini, which is the most recent Strider King pickup for South Georgia Tormenta. He's like 6'5", nice guy, can dribble well, and great finisher when he was with Vermont Green and with the championship University of Vermont's winning team.
Yep.
I think he has the potential to be a Golden Boot winner.
Wow.
I highly rate Yaniv Vazini. I think he's awesome. And I think he is the finishing touch to a Tormenta team who was kind of on the outside looking in of the Big Five in League One.
Yep.
I think he could be a difference maker and push them to being a top 5, top 4 team. Wow. But we will talk about that tonight on the USL show with our League One preview on YouTube, on Twitch. And you can find us at the USL show on Twitter, Blue Sky, all those fun places. And if you don't mind, give us a sub. We are almost to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're trying to get to 1,000 before we go up to Portland, Maine for our second annual live show.
There you go. So you're going to do a P-Hop live show. Very nice.
Yes, we will.
Nice. So keep us posted on that as well. Kaylor, my friend, it's always great to see you. We'll see you in 3 weeks, and we'll start the regular rotation about everything going on. USL Championship and League One kicking off. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do.
See you. Appreciate it.
There goes Kaylor. And Kaylor is and what Kaylor and all of the band of at the USL show have done is quality work. So it's great to have those kinds of voices out there and have them break down everything. Remember, tonight's USL League One. And for those of us in this footprint, as Kaylor has said, keeping an eye on how Greenville is going to try to replace the goals of Lime McKinnon. What is Spokane going to do for year 2? Can anybody beat Union Omaha when it comes to League One? But the Tormenta moves in the offseason, you got to keep an eye on that. One Knox, once again, coaching change, all those different things that are out there involving USL League One. I'm looking at the standings really quickly. Their national broadcast schedule came out as well. So Really looking forward to how things are going to lay out in USL League One as well. Remember, the Jägermeister Cup created some intrigue last season, and the fact that they're going to have Amon Zayed on tonight. For those of you that followed the Hailstorm story as we did, and it is still in limbo. So the Hailstorm in USL League One do not exist. So, the questions are, what does Greenville do? We're trying to replace goals from Lyman McKinnon. What does One Knox do? They won once out of 5 down the stretch. Charlotte Independence, they kind of hiccuped down the stretch too and finished 6th in the table. Can Spokane lost 4 of their last 5. They only had 1 point in their last 5 matches. Did they bonk? How did they look in season 2? Richmond Kickers, how did they look coming into the season? We mentioned Lex no longer in League One. South Georgia Tormenta, they are looking to rebound. Chattanooga Red Wolves, they are without Sean McDaniel, who he and the club parted ways, I want to say last week. And then Central Valley, once again, does not exist in League One. So this year, how will the new clubs do? AV Alta in the Antelope Valley, having them as a part of it all. Charlotte, Chattanooga, Forward Madison, the fan base is always going to be there. Greenville, One Knox, FC Naples coming in. FC Naples has not been messing around. They've been bringing in a lot of talent for their first season in USL League One. And we mentioned Portland Hearts of Pine. We're all going to the poorhouse because of all of their jerseys. Richmond, Tormenta, Spokane, Texoma is in this season as well. And we've caught up with their head coach and sporting director, and we'll keep checking in with him about all the growing pains that they are having. Union Omaha and Westchester, New York. Westchester SC is part of the discussion this year. So you add AV Alta, you add FC Naples, you add Portland Hearts of Pine, you add Texoma, you add Westchester. So literally you added 5 clubs, even though you lose Lex and Central Valley and Northern Colorado as a part of the discussion. So this was a year of change in League One, and it will be interesting to see. Once again, you've got that southeastern footprint, but now you're starting to get teams filling up in the northeast with P-Hop and with Westchester, and you're gradually getting all of these geographic holes filled out. AV Alta now has a dance partner in Spokane, so you can schedule 2 road games if you want and be on the road for a week to 10 days to do those kinds of things. So 14 teams this season in USL League One, and we'll follow along with them as we go. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. And once again, remember, the rest of the week for me will be in a hotel room in Macon, Georgia. Morning show is still 9:05 to 11:05-ish. And then once it's done, I head to the Macon Coliseum. Tomorrow, Tyler's going to join us at 9:15, and we'll navigate the rest of the day in hour number 2. Then Thursday, it is going to be Josh Gould, the GM for Decatur FC, batting leadoff right at 9:05. Power hour, Nino and Nico, 10 and 10:35. So we'll have that in the power hour. Then once again, hopefully we can catch up with Michael Parkhurst as a part of our Friday Free Kick and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. We can ask him about Rhode Island FC, Atlanta United, and mentoring and all those things. And then 10 o'clock is Weekend Whip Around, where we go through everything that gets you ready for match week number 3. Thanks to Mark Fishkin, by the way, for dropping by this morning for all of the intel that was available when it came to Red Bulls coming up this weekend. So very, very cool stuff, and glad that Mark was able to join us from his studio space as well. So gossip, here we go on the board. Real Madrid scouts have checked on Adam Wharton since his return to first team action at Crystal Palace. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Inter Milan emerging as strong rivals to Liverpool for the signing of Joshua Kimmich as he enters the last few months of his deal with Bayern Munich. Brighton's keeper Bart Verbruggen is on Chelsea's radar. United, Spurs, and Arsenal have expressed an interest in signing Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. Has a release clause that can be activated this summer, set to be worth €80 million. Brighton's Joao Pedro wants to join Liverpool in the summer. Wouldn't everybody? Jonathan David turned down Lille's bid to extend his deal, ready to leave the club as a free agent. Nicolas Shira has that report. Pep Guardiola set to make a decision on the long-term future of Jack Grealish amid plans for a squad overhaul. And the paparazzi found Grealish leaving a bar with a $3 beer in his hand. Take that information and do whatever. Liverpool opened talks with Connor Bradley over a new 5-year deal. It could see the right back earn a 650% pay raise. 3-letter paper. Brentford and Fulham both expressed an interest in signing Johan Vasquez from Genoa. Fulham and Sporting chasing Greek right back Georgios Vagianidis. Sporting having made Panathinaikos an offer of €10 million. Germany's Jonathan Tah set to leave Bayer Leverkusen as a free agent at the end of the year. Once again, Nicolo Schira. New and positive talks between Leroy Sané and Bayern over a new contract for the winger. Everton set to make key appointments before the end of the season. Possible overhaul of recruitment, more influence for manager David Moyes. And former Atletico Madrid transfer guru Andrea Berta is believed to be among the potential candidates to replace Edu as sporting director at Arsenal. Gotham FC are in advanced talks with WSL side Manchester United over the proposed loan signing of Brazil forward Geza, 26 years old, and that is from our friends at The Guardian. There's a lot of stuff going on with Manchester United off the field. They're looking to possibly get out of the lease of their downtown London office building. It's a mile away from Ineos headquarters, but they're looking to shift everything back to the Manchester headquarters. They're trying to close off all of the stuff that might be extraneous, and it's a 10-year lease on the building, and so they're trying to see if they can get out of that lease early and take everything from that building back to Manchester. Manchester United fans, by the way, urged to wear all black against Arsenal as the club is slowly dying. There you go. Let's see what else is there. Millwall is condemning the character assassination of their keeper. They say they are disgusted by abuse directed at him following what happened in the matchup with Crystal Palace and the studs-up collision with Jean-Philippe Mateta. Let's see. High-profile figures in football apparently have been assassinating Liam Roberts' character, and we ran the audio of Steve Parrish from halftime of the match against Crystal Palace from the BBC. Others have piled on, leading for calls of Millwall's keeper to face a 5-game ban, if not more. Other media outlets have called the FA to throw the book at Liam Roberts, extending that ban, and they're considering it. And Millwall said in a strongly worded statement they're disgusted by abuse directed towards keeper Liam Roberts following the unfortunate collision with Jean-Philippe Mateta. That's how they're phrasing it. An unfortunate collision with Liam Roberts' left boot smashing the side of Mateta's face. But unfortunate collision is how they're phrasing it. Then reporting on the matter, as well as disgraceful suggestions made by certain news organizations and high-profile figures within the sport that Liam intended to harm Jean-Philippe, has contributed to the unwarranted character assassination of Liam and fueled abhorrent online abuse towards him. 4-letter paper claimed it's been banned from attending Millwall matches and press conferences because of its coverage of the incident. And in the article at The Telegraph, this is the Telegraph article, Mateta had been the target of chants of, quote, "let him die," end quote, from some of the 2,800 visiting supporters, clearly heard on television, while the FA have launched an investigation into potential chanting toward Ben Chilwell, who's on loan at Palace from Chelsea. Millwall manager Alex Neil said the clash was unintentional, and chairman James Berylson checked on Mateta's condition after the match. Roberts is facing a 3-match ban for the challenge, and the decision as to whether it will be extended needed to be requested by 8 o'clock in the morning our time. So let's see if the FA has done anything. Let's see. It appears that there has been no additional wording from the FA about Mateta and Roberts so far. So once again, keep an eye on that. So there's nothing recent in the last handful of hours involving the FA and anything of that nature. So, and I'm going back, okay, so 9 hours and there hasn't been anything reported and or added. So that's on the board for that as well. Once again, let me circle through the papers really quickly. I know we have Montsells beats Ipswich with saves in PKs, and so they advance into the next round of the FA Cup. And let me see. Let me get into the juice boxes because we do have Champions League today. Then we'll get into what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. All right. So the Champions League today, if I pull down the Europe tab. So Champions League today, 4 matches today, 4 tomorrow. Bruges and Aston Villa at 12:45. Villa's a favorite at a plus 149. Bruges is a plus 195. Everybody else is at 3 o'clock. Dortmund minus 164 hosting Lille. Arsenal minus 102 at PSV. Real Madrid minus 114 hosting ATLUTD in the match of the day. So that's your 4 matchups today in the Champions League. One at 12:45 and the other at 3 o'clock. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And once again, with everything going on in Champions League, you know where that's going to be. You've got CONCACAF as well. We can get into that tomorrow. So today, Copa Sudamericana, 9 o'clock, ADT and Cienciano. If you don't have BN or BN en Español or any of the BNs, CDO Nuestro Tele for the fans, TIC, our buddy Nino Torres and Gold TV. You can get it fnatizfntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out, become a true degenerate. And Jason got me hooked. I blame him. CBS Sports Network has Dortmund and Lille at 3 o'clock. Triple header in the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza at 6:30. Cincinnati and Tigres, 8:30. Pumas and Alajuelense, 10:30. LAFC and Columbus. Bien Español, simulcasting Copa Sudamericana. 2 to NA. Bruges and Villa at 12:45. Real Madrid Atleti at 3. And the 3 matches in CONCACAF starting at 6:30. Unimas simulcasting Bruges, Villa, Real, and Atleti. Golazo Network has Huddersfield Town and Wrexham at 2:45. For those of you who are following along in the League One table, Wrexham's right there. I know that you're trying to get them into automatic promotion spots, but right now they are 2 points out of automatic promotion. They're in the promotion playoff. They are the number 3 right now, 2 points ahead of Stockport County with a match in hand. Huddersfield will be playing their 35th match today against Wrexham in their 34th. So Wrexham, if they win in match week 34, they would be in as the number 2 if the league stopped today. If they win, they'd have 65. Wickham a match in hand at 64. Birmingham City, by the way, 12 points clear of everybody. Tom Brady apparently is doing wonders, and they're 32 matches in, 12 points clear. So it looks like Birmingham City is well on their way to getting promoted to the championship. And you have 12 or 13 matches remaining in League One, depending on which team you are following. Also, Paramount Plus has the championship, Cardiff City and Burnley, Hull City and Plymouth Argyle at 2:45. League One, Wrexham, as well as Wickham and Burton Albion. So keep an eye on the Wickham match at 3 if you're watching Wrexham or vice versa. Champions League, they have all 4 matches at Paramount Plus. VIX has 2 to NA simulcasts of both Champions League and the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza. That's a day. We'll come back tomorrow once again. Tyler's going to join us at 9:15. We'll go through all the news and everything in the midweek and get you ready for everything else going on. Remember, today, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, it is Walton hosting Harrison on the network over on our Mixler channel. Drew Dickinson will have the call for that, and it will be, once again, at Raider Valley. Girls at 6, boys at 8. Download the Mixler app, MIXLR. Follow Soccer Down Here and SDH2 because we're probably going to have both channels up. Right now, Vestavia Hills and Dalton, slated for a 6 o'clock kick, probably will be on SDH2, while Harrison and Walton will be on SDH1, Soccer Down Here on SDH1. So 1 and 2 probably active today with the team in Dalton for another really cool event and the reveal of another one of the mini pitches. So after that, Jason and Maddie, I imagine they're going to be doing the matchup Vestavia Hills and Dalton, 6 o'clock on SDH2 with Drew and Raider Valley for Harrison and Walton tonight as well. Tomorrow, across the board, it is the Atlanta United 2 preview. That'll be up and running because we'll have Red Bulls 2 and Atlanta United 2. Friday night on the network from Kennesaw. Thursday in LJ, it's Heritage Catoosa and Gilmer. I think it's 5 and 7. That's what we posted. It was odd on Max Preps giving it a 5:30 and a 7. I don't know if it's 5 and 7, but that's what we've listed, 5 and 7, and not 5:30 and 7:30. But once again, set your notifications. Download the Mixlr app. You'll get notifications when you follow. It goes straight to your email. Oh, there's a live. And then you go live. Then we go live and you get to listen to it. So busy week this week here at SDH, and that doesn't even get us to Red Bulls and Atlanta United on Saturday night. So like I said, tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, I'll be in a hotel room in Macon for the basketball championships and let you know what's going on here on SDH AM. So once again, thanks to Mark Fishkin at Seeing Red. Thanks to Kaylor Hodges from the USL show. Thanks to you, as always, for hanging out with us here on SDH AM. Back in a little less than 22 hours, so you know what that means. It's the end of the show. Mucha plot, y'all. Play it safe. I get to.